What's up, guys? So, it's been a while since I've posted videos, and basically, I had left my old company and decided I would start my own trucking company. I was an owner operator before when I was posting videos, worked for a couple of different companies before I decided to go the route of starting my own trucking company. So today I'm going to make a video here. I'm going to show you a quick presentation and what it's been like. Um, it's been 4 months so far for me. Uh, I still got a ways to go. So let's look at these slides that I made here, and I'll try to fill you in with as much information as I can in case you're deciding to start your own company. So I got this little presentation set up. We'll talk about getting started. You're going to need an LLC or an Inc. I used an LLC. You'll have to file that in your actual state. Um, Obviously, you're going to go ahead and register it, get your paperwork all together. You're going to want to register the truck, things like that. We'll get into that. First, you're going to need to get your DOT and MC number. So the DOT number is free. It's very easy to apply for that. You will need an EIN number, which would be assigned with your LLC when you get all that situated. The MC number, on the other hand, will cost $300. There is a waiting period on that. You usually have to wait about 25 days. I think they say 20 to 30 days. So basically, what it means is you have to meet their requirements. You have to have a BOC 3 on file, and then you're going to also need to have insurance during that time. I know that sounds crazy, but you have to have truck insurance for a whole 20, 25 days or so, and then they'll activate the MC number. So basically, your first month of insurance is just a waste. There are things you can do in the meantime while you wait, but I'm not too familiar with those methods, like using just the DOT number and doing local work. But that's something for you to consider if you want to go that route. For me, I just stayed at home for a month. For me, I want to say it took about 22, 23 days. You will obviously need to get your own truck, your own trailer, preferably. I have a refrigerated trailer, and I've got a Freightliner Cascadia. Maybe your plan is to, buy a new truck, buy a used truck. Maybe you're going to rent one from Penske or Ryder, or you're going to lease one. Whatever your plan is, you got to at least have a truck. And then I would highly recommend a trailer, although I do have some friends that have done power only and started their own company, and they did just fine, but I'm not too familiar with that area as I just been working on refrigerated. So, and we'll go into insurance. So the down payment was about 3,000. I can't remember. It's kind of hard to tell everything together because my original down payment was maybe $1,000, and the reason for that is when you're waiting during your 25 average day wait for that MC number, you only have to have $750,000 of liability as a minimum coverage. So what I did is the 750,000 minimum, and that's it. I didn't put cargo insurance. I didn't put anything else on the policy. I just insured the truck, didn't even insure the trailer, and just 750,000. That way, I wasn't blowing away so much money on the first 20 to 30 days that I had to wait. After that, you will have to have at least 1 million liability and cargo coverage for any broker to work with you. So keep in mind, you're looking at about $3,000 for your insurance. That's going to cover you for a month. It's essentially your down payment. The liability, as I just mentioned, 750,000 is what's required for the MC number, but you are going to have to move it up to $1 million. There's just no way around that. There's no broker that's going to work with you if you have less than $1 million. Now, if you're hazmat, you're going to need even more than $1 million. I'm not too familiar with how all that works, but cargo insurance is $100,000 with a deductible of $2,500 is what I picked. I also got reefer breakdown coverage in the same amount, $100,000, $2,500. And then I also got trailer interchange as well. If you wanted to get that trailer interchange, I got $30,000 with a $2,000 deductible. So that's something that you would want if you're going to do power only or occasionally be switching trailers, which was in my situation. I wanted the flexibility to do power only as well as using my own refrigerated trailer. That's why I had added that. Tailored insurance group. I mean, I looked everywhere for different insurance companies, and honestly, they are just the best. Everybody there is awesome. They're easy to work with. They will go out of their way to try to find any way for you to save money. And I mean, they're the ones who even had told me about doing 750,000 minimum, just to get that MC number activated. So they're extremely helpful. I did later add general liability, which costed me about $550, and I got that through, I think it was United States Insurance. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but I got it through Tailored Insurance Group. They helped me get it, so it was really easy. I just sent a text message to my agent. I was like, "Hey man, can you help me out? I gotta get general liability for one of these brokers." Yeah, no problem. He took care of everything else. The next day, got an email with all the info, and he's like, "I got it for $550." Like, sweet deal. So another thing to keep in mind. So once you're all situated, you got your insurance, your truck's registered, you're ready to roll out. Well, actually, before you get it registered, you will need to file a 2290, which is the highway use tax. For me, this cost about $400. It's going to fluctuate though, because you may be paying for a whole year. You may only be paying for 6 months. You might even only be paying for 2 months. It just depends on the time that you're filing for it. So for me, it was about 400. It was almost, I think it was almost a full year, maybe a month shy of a full year. So you will need that in order to register the truck. Moving on to the registration, I used a third-party MVD, which cost me about $2,300 all in. That included my IFTA. At the time it was 2024 IFTA and 2025, so I had paid for both of those and got the stickers for both of those, plates, all that. Of course, for the IFTA and for the MVD is that the registration, there are separate paperwork that you have to file. So I used a third party MVD, which is why I essentially paid almost $400 more. It was about $400. If you were to do all of your paperwork on your own and go straight to the MVD, and you okay with the long lines and them possibly telling you, "Oh, you filled out something wrong," and well, if you can do that, it's about $1,900. This was for a 2017 Freightliner Cascadia. So, being at the time it was 2024, it was a relatively older truck. So, if you have a brand new truck, I would imagine that the prices are going to be higher. And if you have an older one, maybe they'll be a little bit lower. I'm not really sure there, but in my situation on a 2017 Freightliner, I had paid $2,300 with a third-party MVD. So after you got that, you've got your registration, you've got your insurance, you've got your MC numbers good to go. You're almost ready to roll out. You're going to need to get some state permits. So I'm based out of Arizona, and I go through New Mexico a lot. So New Mexico does not participate in IFTA, so you have to have the New Mexico permit. So for me, I did New Mexico, Kentucky, and New York. You could also do Oregon. I don't go there enough for it to be worth me buying a permit there. I'd rather just pay for a trip permit when I am there, which you can do in these states as well. You can get a trip permit just for one trip through the state. It is a lot cheaper to get the permit if you're going through there often, though. So keep that in mind. The New Mexico one cost $10. Kentucky one was free. In New York, yeah, I know, it was $1.50. They basically charge you just for the sticker that goes onto your truck. After you got your permits, first thing you want to do before you forget, DOT inspection. Should cost you around $100 for the truck and the trailer. You can go to a TA, a Love's, a local shop. You can really go anywhere. But you do want to have that in case you get pulled over for an inspection. They'll see that you do have your annual done, which is important. You will get a violation if you don't. So something you want to keep in mind. Initial challenges. So at this point, you should already be headed out. You'll be able to work with brokers and start making some money. It isn't easy. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm about 4.5 months in as it is right now, and it's rough. There are times where I will sit for 3-4 days and I just can't find anything. Like everything that I find, the broker's like, I don't want to work with you. Like I can't work with you. Our company has strict policies. You have to have at least 6 months, or it's never ending. I will let you know there are a few brokers that are willing to work with companies. That'll be C.H. Robinson, TQL, Uber Freight, Shoals Logistics. I found that they will work with new companies up to their discretion. And I think, Uber Freight was, they're all right. They're all right. The broker Shoals is pretty good. TQL, you already know about TQL. I don't have to explain them. But for some reason, they permanently banned me. They won't tell me why. Before I even took my first run, I filled out the carrier packet with them, and they just flat out banned me. My MC number. I don't know. Again, I really don't know why. Uber Freight, same thing. Permanently banned. Again, I don't know why. C.H. Robinson was the only one that I was able to work with for my first 3 months. I did not know about Shoals Logistics until after the fact, but that is something that could happen to you. I'm not a very lucky person, so maybe for you, all of these carriers will work with you, these brokers will work with you, and you won't have any issues, but it is something to keep in mind. For me, I only had one broker, C.H. Robinson, that was it. I relied on them. If they didn't have any loads, I wasn't getting any loads. It just wasn't happening. So that made it a lot more difficult for me than it made for you. But other than that, the loads that C.H. Robinson had posted were actually really good in the first 3 months. I was impressed. I was getting runs as high as $2.90 a mile, I believe it was. I was averaging probably about, I would say $2.20, $2.30 a mile with C.H. Robinson. What's weird though is after I hit the 3 months, C.H. Robinson just kind of crashed. Like it was terrible. I don't know why. I have no idea. I always had 100% on-time pickups and deliveries with them, so I don't think that it was them. With me having 3 months, I don't think it had anything to do with that. But yeah, take a look at that. Those 3 brokers or 4 who should be able to work with you in your first month. After you hit 3 months, you have to do your quarterly IFTA and state permits. You got to file the taxes on those. So for me, it cost me around $190 for the IFTA after my first 3 months. New Mexico cost me about $50. New York was $10, and Kentucky, which is not listed on this slide, Kentucky was about, I think, like $30 or $40. This is going to depend, where you're based and how often you actually drive through these states. So for New Mexico, I drive through New Mexico often. Because if I'm going to go home, I have to pass through the state. If I'm going to leave from my house, I have to pass through the state. So New Mexico is going to be the highest one. Kentucky, I go through every now and then. New York, very rarely. I think the $10, it might have been like $8 and something cents for those 3 months. I think I went through there, twice, and just a small corner of New Mexico, maybe about 150 miles total that I drove through the state in those 3 months. So every 3 months, you will have to file those if New Mexico, New York, Kentucky, or even Oregon, if they do it the 3 month. I'm not too sure on that. Again, the first year is challenging. So your first month is the hardest. Uh, then you got 3 months. Once you had 3 months, more brokers will work with you. From my experience, I'd say maybe 20 to 25% of the brokers will work with you at that point. So it's not a massive improvement. I was able to book some runs with a few companies that also did require 1 year of experience, but I believe if you know how to sell yourself and, show off your skills or find ways to show a trucking company, hey, look, I am legit. I'm not a scam artist. I'm not trying to double broker. I do really have my own truck. Then some of these brokers, I don't want to say all, but some of them will pull strings and push you through. And then once they have, you can continue to work with them. So, and I have a few of them that that I'm working with, like a Stone Arc requires 6 months, and they've been great. I like the runs that they post. It worked out good with them. Stone Arc works great, so it worked out. Considering I actually have less than 6 months, and since the first run went great, now they'll work with me anytime I want one of their runs. So it's cool, but keep that in mind. Your 6 month mark, you're gonna get probably about, I would say, at least half of the brokers at 6 months will work with you. Once you hit a year, almost, I want to say almost every one of them will work with you. I mean, some of them have these rules where, like, they want you to have an inspection on your truck. So maybe they require 1 year and an inspection, and you haven't gotten an inspection in the first year. They won't work with you. Maybe you can convince them, but usually they won't. The ones that ask about the inspection seem to be pretty strict. I don't know what to tell you about how to get an inspection. You can't ask DOT for an inspection. They don't do that anymore. If you've heard of somebody that was able to get an inspection by asking, well, they got really lucky, because they're not supposed to be doing that anymore. And this is not an annual inspection. This is an actual inspection by a police officer. So if you really want an inspection, if you're speeding or something and you get pulled over, maybe that's worth the insurance increase and the speeding on your driving record. Maybe that's worth it. That's something for you to decide. I know it even sounds crazy to talk about that, but unfortunately, that is something that is an issue for a new carrier, is that inspection. I have none. I haven't had any inspections. I have a pre-pass, and maybe that's a problem too. My pre-pass, I almost always get a green light. I think I have a 97% chance of a green light. I'm not even really sure how I got that, but I'm usually getting a green at every way station. So, again, as we were just talking about, having some kind of strategy, how to make yourself stand out, building a good relationship, with these brokers. I've actually worked with a couple of direct customers as well. I found some out in Nogales, Arizona, that have been great. Um, you know, you just got to put yourself out there. You have to remember that you need to. There's so many people competing with you. There are so many other small trucking companies that are just starting out. So how can you be better than them? What can you do that makes you better? You have to figure out some kind of strategy or some kind of way to grow. I can't help you out with that one. That one's just. But that's pretty much the general gist of everything. It is quite expensive to get situated. Is it worth it? I think it is. Um, Although I do have downtime, and I'm not really a big fan of that. I would prefer to keep moving and making money versus sitting around waiting for the next run. You know, I think it's worth it under the aspect that, I'm not paying a percentage to another company. I'm getting the actual rate cons. I've learned a lot being an owner op for about 4 years versus being an independent owner operator. There has been a lot of sketchy stuff. I've had a lot of money stolen from me. Even the rate cons by themselves, I'm realizing that the rate cons that the companies I'd worked for were just, they were fudging him, putting false information on him, taking a percentage out of the amount that they're telling me that they got it for, even though they got it for a few $100s more. It is nice to not have a middleman involved and building relationships directly with each broker, I think is a huge plus. And the overall amount of profits that I make versus being an owner operator, I think are better, in my opinion. I think they're significantly better. But that's mainly because of the percentage that you were paying as an owner operator. I do use a factoring company. It's called Apex Factoring. They are based out of Texas. They have been nothing but awesome. They are the only people that take a percentage of the gross or the rate cons that I make. They do take about 3%, and in return, they pay me up front. So I usually get paid within about 30 minutes after I deliver, and I have the money already right away. So that is helpful too. I don't have an actual payday that I have to deal with. If there's a truck breakdown, I can get some money quick. Another thing I do want to mention is the brokers. Like 90% of the brokers are willing to give you a fuel advance. So if you're tight on money, maybe you blew a tire or you just need fuel, a lot of the brokers will give you around 50% of the money up front. C.H. Robinson, they are 60%. They'll give you 60% of the Raycon up front, which is really helpful. So this way you don't have to stress too much. Fuel cards, I have A to B fuel, and I'll leave a referral link down below so we both get some free money out of it if you're interested. I use A to B. I think they are the best for discounts. Second up, I'm gonna give it to TCS. That one I cannot give you a referral link, but just Google TCS. They're a really good EFS fuel card. Their discounts can actually be better than A to B's here and there. Lastly, number 3, and yes, believe it or not, number 3 is not the best one, is Mudflap. So I have their fleet card as well, and Mudflap does have pretty good discounts. So so A to B I would rank as number 1, TCS number 2, and Mudflap as number 3. So take a look at the description below. I will put referral links so that you can, get a couple of bucks. We can both make some money from it. Anyways, guys, I hope this helped out. And if there's anything specific you guys would like to would like me to talk about, I'd be happy to make another video. And I hope that this slide came out well. Anyways, take it easy. Have a good one, guys.